So you're waiting for Immortal Empires like everybody else, you've played a bunch of Chaos Realms campaigns, but you kinda want to keep playing, but there's just no fresh experiences now. Well, allow me to offer you this combination of mods which has brought some excitement back into the campaign for me. Some of these I've covered before, some I have not. I'll explain them as we go, and I'll put links in the description. Now with all these mods equipped, we can play as any faction here. Whoever your favourite is, just grab them. I'd say don't go too hard on the difficulty here, because one of these mods is going to make life quite hard early on. So coming in on a Scarbrand campaign here, the first thing is the Victory Objectives Overhaul mod. This I really like. It gives you shorter objectives and gives you different ways to win the campaign, rather than just the Chaos Realms. So if you're bored of the Chaos Realms, equip this mod and then you never have to bother with the Chaos Realms at all. You have other ways to win the campaign. So that's the first one. I've talked about this one before. It's a really damn good mod. But to really jazz things up, we're going to change our start position with the Change Start Position mod. On your first turn, in the top left, you will see these two little buttons, one of which will allow you to choose any other settlement on the map and make it your start position, or let the game do it for you and change to a random settlement. Now both can be fun in their own way, but the beauty of being able to choose the settlement you go to is that you can maybe explore a part of the map that you've never seen before. Is there an area which you've literally just never laid eyes on? Maybe down here in the Darklands where no factions start? Well, this is where we're gonna go. All this coastline I've never really seen, all these areas. I've seen a little bit around this area above, but not quite this coastline that much. Let's pick a random settlement, Darkhold here. That's gonna be our new home. And you can see my army has been moved here. My starting settlement has been moved here. I probably should have moved to a capital city thinking about it. That would have made more sense, so try to do that. But here we've got our fresh settlement. We've got a couple of buildings to get us going. Now we just got to take the province. So to me, it feels really fresh to take a faction you know and the area that they normally start in, you know that pretty well. Well, to take them out and put them somewhere completely different just feels almost playing a new DLC character. Like it's a totally fresh experience, even though it is the same faction ultimately. Another nice little mod that isn't necessary, but it's fun to add in if you're interested in the lore of Warhammer Fantasy, is the Legendary Lore mod, which brings you stuff like this. I've just recruited some Chaos Warriors, and it's giving me a little bit of lore all about Chaos Warriors, and it'll do this for all the different units I recruit. It'll also do it if you take a certain settlement. It'll tell you about that settlement, or maybe a battle that happened. It'll tell you about the history and the lore of that battle, so you can learn loads more about the Warhammer Fantasy universe. It's a nice little mod to add in. Another cool thing about this mod combo is that you'll literally find things you haven't seen in the game yet, as I did making this video, because I've literally never heard of Clan Krizor, who I've just run into here. Clan Krizor, you ever heard of that? Me neither. Until now. You'll also get the opportunity to fight factions that you would never normally get to fight. Scarbrand in the northwest corner of the map only really fights Slanesh, maybe some Kislev, maybe some Norskans or some Nurgle, bit of Chaos, but never really Skaven, never really Greenskins who I'm fighting here. So that's something I really liked about the Change Start Position mod, is that it allows you to get a different experience with the faction that you're playing, to fight different enemies that you wouldn't normally be able to run into. I mean, of course, you can use the rifts and go anywhere, really, but it's nice to have it more natural feeling, as they are the enemies around you. Here I've got some ogres nearby on this coast as well. I'm going to take the fight to them. I don't really get to fight ogres as Khorne very often. And this is where the minor settlements become land battles mod comes into play. When attacking settlements in the vanilla game, you'll have a million minor settlement battles. But with this mod, it will allow you to turn those minor settlement attacking battles into land battles instead. Here it's given me a choke point map, which I've never seen before. So again, a fresh thing I've never seen in Warhammer 3, this particular map. So if, like me, you're kind of sick of playing so many minor settlement battles, this mod is a must, really. It honestly saves the game a lot for me, because I get to play land battles again, which I really have missed. But each to their own. If you do prefer minor settlements, obviously just don't use this mod. Getting to play way more land battles is a fresh experience in itself, it feels like, in Warhammer 3, because you don't really get them that often in vanilla campaigns. Now going through this campaign, I'm doing okay here. I've got my first province, I'm trying to get this second one, still got some ogres to deal with, and some lizardmen. How many times have you run into lizardmen in Warhammer 3? I'll wager very rarely, if ever. Now I've pushed up here to take this settlement off the ogres. Again, I can get a nice land battle out of this instead of a settlement battle. And I'm met again with a map I've never actually seen before. I don't think I've actually played on this map yet. So the higher frequency of land battles is allowing me to see more of the game, more of the maps I haven't yet seen. To be honest, I was quite surprised that that little change and that little detail actually really made a difference to me in terms of my enjoyment of the campaign. I was not only sick of fighting minor settlement battles, but also sick of fighting on those same minor settlement maps. So until CA actually makes some changes, which in the roadmap they did say they are going to do, there is going to be changes to get more land battles into the campaign, so that's good to hear, but we've got to wait for it. This mod is a great way to tide yourself over until those changes come along, if you are one of those that's sick of mindless settlements. I also got besieged by a big greenskin army as Khorne in a Skaven settlement that I had taken, so it was just all kinds of madness. It was mostly just fun to fight the greenskins as Khorne, something you don't really get to do given Skarbrand's usual starting position. And greenskins isn't the only one I got besieged by, because those goddamn lizard men came and pushed on me and tried to take one of my settlements, and actually indeed they did take one of my settlements. It was mostly an army of skinks, but it took me down nonetheless. This might be due in part to the Return of the Great Empires mod, which basically, you know how there's loads of Warhammer 1 and 2 factions in Warhammer 3, but they never really do anything or get anywhere or expand very much, like the Empire, the Vampire Counts, the Skaven. They just kind of sit in their one settlement or just get taken out. Well, with the Return of the Great Empires mod, it will make those factions better, more aggressive, more expansive, and you will actually see them on the map. You want to see Deathmaster Snitch take over Cathay? He can do that. You want to see the Empire expand out? You want to see the vampires actually look alive and do something? You want to see dwarfs take the Mountains of Morn? It could happen. So that's just another fun mod to make things happen a little bit differently on the campaign map than they might normally. You're sick of Kislev coming and overrunning you with 19 armies out of nowhere? Well, with Throt and his Skaven at Help it not being so much of a pushover anymore, that's going to be a little bit tougher for Kislev to do. So that's all of the mods that I've got going in this. I do have the better camera mod as well, which is obviously just going to make the camera a little bit better. Oh, I could have said that better. I gotta stop doing my life. Let's try again. I also have the better camera mod, which improves the camera, allowing you to zoom out a little bit farther and zoom in a little bit closer. It's nice. I like it. Eventually, I did push over to Dragonfang Mount, where the lizard men reside, and they have their big old settlement temple. I took this off them. They still had my settlement that they took, but I eventually went and took that back, and then they tried to take it again, but they failed, and that pretty much killed them off after that, as they had no settlements to keep them alive. And one thing to bear in mind though, with the Change Start Settlement mod, it can make life quite hard early on in the campaign, because most campaigns are kind of built so that you can quite easily take the first province and then build up from there. But with the start position change, it's kind of harder to do that because you don't have the set route to get it done, as CA often gives you at the start of a campaign. So do bear that in mind. It can be harder to get your first starting province, which will make it feel like you're having a really tough start. Sometimes you may get a friendly faction that'll take one of the settlements in your province, and you'll only get like 3 of the 4 settlements, and that can be annoying, but that's kind of part of the fun of it. That's the challenge of it, I guess. You could also try adding Radius mod into this if you want to make it even more spicy. There's many ways to go, but for me, this combination of mods, I've found it really fun playing through this Khorne campaign. So if you're looking for a new way to play Warhammer 3 while you wait for Immortal Empires, I definitely recommend a whole bunch of these mods. There's a load of other great ones as well. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the future.